are hovering over the famous Olduvai Gorge in Tanzania, where evidence of the first humans was found. Our predecessors evolved in this region and in South Africa between 200 and 300,000 years ago. They began moving out of Africa between 70 and 100,000 years ago and populating all parts of the world. They deliberately altered the lands they populated across the world, resulting in profound environmental and historical changes. One of the most dramatic changes they brought about was the agricultural revolution about 10,000 years ago. It played a pivotal role in the further development of the Homo Sapiens. It made them shift from a nomadic lifestyle and settle down. They had to settle down to use the earth's resources in new ways. They built homes and domesticated animals to serve them in various ways: chickens, dogs, cattle, and horses. They used fire for cooking, clearing land, generating heat and light, worship, and as a weapon of destruction. All these activities required a fairly large and close-knit community, which freed the individuals from the pressures of survival, so that they had much more time to observe and contemplate. The use of a sophisticated language was a crucial factor. It allowed people to make plans, solve problems, and organize effectively. Other species also have language, but they are much more primitive. For example, birds and apes can also communicate through sounds as alerts for predators like lions and tigers, or as mating calls. Human language is much more advanced and keeps evolving. The number of elementary sounds or phonemes is limited. For example, in the English language, there are only 26 alphabets. But the humans, or Homo Sapiens, can use them to create a huge number of different words to fill a whole dictionary. And that is not all. They can use these words in an unlimited variety of combinations to form sentences, to communicate, write letters, poems, novels, and short stories to fill whole libraries. And they can gossip endlessly to share with each other news and opinions. No other animal can do that. And that helps in forming social bonds. Today we can see how these bonds are developing on a worldwide scale through the internet and the social media. There is one other power that only the sapiens have. The power of imagination. Most importantly, they can think of abstract ideas like universal laws. In the Rig Veda, you come across the concept of Rita. It is the principle of cosmic order, which regulates and coordinates the operation of the universe and everything within it. It encompasses the physical, ethical, and ritual domains. The world is not whimsical. It is because of Rita that the sun and the moon pursue their daily journeys across the sky, and the seasons proceed with regular movement. That was the prototype of the natural laws we know today. The regular cycle of the seasons and their tremendous importance for agriculture led the sapiens to think about the future for the first time. To the early humans, time was a routine affair, which they took for granted and hardly noticed. It didn't bother them much. Jesus Christ used to say, "Look at the birds of the air. They do not sow or reap or store away in barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them." But to feed a settled community and hold it together, the sapiens had to plan when to sow, reap, and store. They looked for clues about the future in nature. One of the most important things they did was to turn their attention towards the sky for guidance, giving rise to astronomy and astrology. For them, the most spectacular objects in the sky were, of course, the sun and the moon. The sun dominated the sky during the day, but the night sky was far more interesting because it was only at night that they could observe the stars and the planets and wonder at them. There are thousands and thousands of stars. How do you know which is which? It's by breaking them up into the constellations. Totally imaginary patterns that human beings have identified and used over thousands of years to map the sky. These collectively constitute the solar zodiac, the 12 star patterns that the path of the sun, called the ecliptic, appears to go through periodically once a year. It's amazing how they figured out the average times that the sun, the moon, and the fixed stars took to return back to the meridian directly overhead. That gave them the first measures of time. A mean solar day, a mean lunar day, and a sidereal day. The mean solar day turned out to be slightly longer than the sidereal day by about 4 minutes, and quite a bit shorter than the lunar day by about 50 minutes. Today we know that this is because of the Earth's orbit round the Sun and the Earth's rotation around its axis, causing day and night. By the time the Earth completes one rotation about its axis, it moves along its orbit round the Sun, so that the Sun slips nearly a degree to the east, and it takes a little longer for the Sun to come back to the meridian. However, because the stars are millions of times farther away from us than the Sun, the effect of the Earth's motion round the Sun on their positions in the sky is too small to be detected. They also noticed that the moon waxed and waned with great regularity over 30 solar days. Later, more accurate observations showed that it was more like 29.5 days. That was the lunar month. Today, we know that the moon's phases are caused by its motion round the earth. When the moon and the sun are on opposite sides of the earth, you see a full moon, Purnamasi. As it moves round the earth, you see its waning phases until it comes between the earth and the sun. Then you see its dark side only. It's Amavasya. Then the crescent moon appears and waxes until it is again opposite to the sun. The annual cycle of seasons was also very important in the economic life of an ancient agricultural society. The beginning of the plowing, the sowing, and harvesting were great popular festivals. They divided this cycle into 12 lunar months, each of 30 days. Hence, a year consisted of 360 days. The Rig Veda refers to time as a wheel with 12 spokes, the months, and 720 pairs of suns, which are the 360 days and the 360 nights in a year. These became the first measures of physical time based on periodic natural phenomena. Day and night, the cycle of the fixed stars, the changing phases of the moon, and the seasonal cycle, known as the tropical year. The regular cycle of the moon's phases was almost everywhere the first basis of chronology. The moon was called the Masakrit, the creator of the month, not the sun. As we have seen, the lunar month consisted of 29.5 days, not 30 days. And so, 12 lunar months made a year consisting of 354 days. This fell short of the 365 days tropical year by 11 days. Hence, the moon-based calendar and the season-based calendar didn't quite match and had to be harmonized, something called the luni-solar adjustment. This was a mighty impulse to the study of astronomy because it necessitated a continuous observation of the sky. It was also noticed that the moon, Soma, was conjoined with the 27 constellations on successive nights in its passage round the earth. Thus, the moon's ecliptic was divided into 27 equal parts, each associated with a constellation called a nakshatra. The names of some of these nakshatras can be found in the Rig Veda, but the complete list occurs in the Yajur Veda. Man had already realized that the nakshatras were not only faithful guides of time and position by night, they were also periodic harbingers of the seasons. Their appearance in certain positions in the sky told him when to sow and when to reap the harvest. And also when to expect pestilences, troubled times, and so on. Things that come under the purview of astrology rather than astronomy. We will see next time the other remarkable astronomical discoveries recorded in ancient India during the Vedanga Jyotisha period, which is commonly accepted to be between 1300 BCE and 300 CE.